はい、ということで元気でしょうか皆さん。Yes, people, Wagwan. This is the Mighty Crown official YouTube channel. Yes, the interview series. This is the volume 6. Yes. So today, I have the chance. I got him on the interview. It's such a pleasure to always speak with this man who has been representing reggae music throughout the world, from England, and then definitely spread reggae music throughout Europe and the world, supporting reggae music in the scene from the 80s. Always unique, intelligent, and hilarious. My good friend, people, my elder brother figure, please welcome legendary David Rodigan!
Oh, Sammy, what a build-up, what an intro. How can I follow that? Well, I'm trying to follow it because I've got my Japanese hat on. Yep, you get it, you got it. And it's a real pleasure to be on your YouTube channel. I know you've got thousands and thousands of loyal followers who care about the music as much as you do, as much as I do. And it's amazing that we can do this. This whole Zoom thing is a new world in which we live and which we're able to see each other. I remember the time when making a phone call was a major operation. Never mind phoning Jamaica. That was like, oh my God, you'd have to spend 2 or 3 days planning that. Anyway, great to be with you. Thank you for the invitation. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about the music, Sammy.
Yes, thank you for having this interview. I got a couple questions that lined up, and as a selector, I wanna you're definitely like the top elder selector, still on the run, still on the go. David, how old are you now? If you don't mind.
I'm 69. I'll be 70 next June. But inside every old person is a young person trying to figure out what happened. Not my quote. It's a writer called Terry Pratchett, and it's one of my favorite quotes.
How do you maintain your energy like as a selector at that age?
Because of the music, Sammy. Just like you, just like Mighty Crown, just like all the sound selectors that are watching this video right now, what keeps us enthusiastic is our love of the music. Not just the vintage, not just the classical songs that we discovered, not just the special dub plates. And by the way, if you haven't got a lot of dub plates, it really doesn't matter. What matters is what songs you do have and how you play them. That's what keeps us young. There's a song by the Silvertones on Studio One called Young at Heart. Get it, play it. There are Frank Sinatra's Young at Heart. It is imperative to remember that what keeps us young, what keeps us energized is first of all staying fit and eating healthily. Of course, we know that's common sense. But in terms of the music, is playing to your audience, playing to those that care. If you don't care, they don't care. If you're there because you're on an enormous ego trip, they'll be bored with you in 10 minutes. They'll start looking at their phones. And remember, as a selector, when you're on stage, if they start looking at their phones and turning their back on you, you're in trouble. Unless they're turning their backs to dance, which is different. Yeah. So in answer to your question, what keeps me young at heart is my passion and love of this great music.
Congratulations on your award, the Order of Distinction, OD from Jamaica. This is amazing award. Like, you getting it. What does this mean to you?
Sammy, it's almost indescribable what this means to me. On the 6th of August, I got a phone call from a journalist in Jamaica. And he said, "Good morning, David, congratulations." And I said, "Congratulations for what?" He said, "Don't you know what the day is?" I said, "Yeah, it's the 6th of August, Independence Day." He said, "Yeah, it's the day the Jamaican government published their honors list. And you have been awarded the honor of the Order of Distinction." Sammy, I had to sit down. I was spellbound. Not in my wildest dreams could I ever have conceived a dream in which I was given the Order of Distinction. This is one of the highest orders that the Jamaican government can give anyone. And this particular OD is also given occasionally to non-Jamaicans. And it is, and I quote in the letter from the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, it gives me great pleasure to inform you that acting upon my advice, His Excellency the Governor General has conferred the honour of the Honorary Order of Distinction in the rank of officer upon you in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the promotion of Jamaican music across the world. That's what the award is for. And that is an incredible honour, isn't it?
Yeah.
That I spent over 40 years of my life as a professional broadcaster and in more recent years doing Sound Clash Fun and so forth. But primarily a weekly broadcast for 42 years now on various radio stations, and more recently, of course, with the BBC, with whom I started, who trained me, talking about the beauty and joy and happiness that this music brings. That's what I've been doing. That's what this award is for, this honor is for. And to say that I'm humbled is an understatement. To say that I'm blown away would be a true reflection of how I feel. It's absolutely incredible for the people of another country and the government of another country to sit down and decide, do you know what? We're going to recognize this man for what he's done. We're going to give him a prestigious award. You know, we know that the greatest gift you can give is kindness.
So I heard there are some haters, bashing you about, you deserving this award, saying that you're white and you don't deserve all these blah, blah, blah. Basically being racial. What do you got to say about this?
The tragedy about racists is that they're sick, and they've been walking the face of this planet from time, and they're always going to come out and be horrible. A racist is a horrible individual. Racism is taught. Children are not naturally racist. We know this. So the tragedy of racism is it's endorsed and enforced upon people by other people. And these people then become convinced, because we've seen the wonderful videos of children playing together. Children don't know the difference between wanting to hate someone. So let's look at the beauty and originality of childhood and where that comes from. If we then pollute the minds of people based upon the color of someone's skin or where they come from or their religion, this is nothing short of a dark tragedy. And the people who hate on other people, whether they're hating on me or they're hating on a sound system or a football team, some people's level of hatred is so venomous, it is so insidious that it is they drink their own poison, wishing it was you drinking it, but they are actually burning the inside of their heart and soul with their own poisonous bile. And this bile is acidic, it burns them inside, it fills them with rage, and they are outraged when anyone who they don't like gets something that they feel that person should not get. That is the root of hate and racism. And it is inevitable, I guess, unfortunately, that there will always be these type of people. And they crave the oxygen of publicity. So the best thing you can do, other than is keep your side of the street clean, your side of the parade, and do what is good and right, is I believe these people crave the oxygen of publicity. They crave it. So I feel sorry for them, and I've already forgiven them. Because if you don't forgive people, you become as bad as them. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. And somebody once said the secret of happiness is good health and a bad memory. When I first heard that one, I was like, bad memory, good health. Oh yeah, it's not good to remember. If you have a bad memory, you don't remember stuff, then life is much easier. Because if we spend our life, you're driving a car and you're looking in the rear view mirror all the time about stuff that happened and things that what's going on, what you're looking at, you're going to crash the car. We have to look to the horizon. We have to look to the future. That's why I revel in new music. I love the past and I love all that the past has given us. It's a rich heritage. But without the future, it's over. Where's the new Marty Crown? Where's the new, Duke Reed? Where's the new Bitty McLean? Who's coming through that's going to make our lives enriched by their music and their qualities as human beings?
My next question is about the reggae scene. What do you think has improved and what do you think is missing?
Okay, what I think is missing is an essence that was once there that I don't feel, see, or hear anymore. That's a pretty broad statement. But what I mean by that is that, and I should qualify this, that there are, of course, some magnificent elements in the new music that's come through. And the list is obvious, and we can start with the Proteges, Chronics, Savannah, Leela Ike, Coffee, what an amazing talent. I mean, there is lots of new music coming through, lots of incredibly talented people, Kabaka Pyramid, and so forth. We know this. What disturbs me, so I should qualify this, is what disturbs me and what I don't understand and what I don't get is, and Bounty Killer has commented on this, as have others, is the structure of these new beats, which are not reggae, they're not dancehall, and I don't quite know what they are. They've been referred to as island pop or hip hop or whatever. But they have a Jamaican vocal on them. But the rhythmic structure is somehow, for me, it doesn't have a Jamaican connection, and it's more connected to, I don't know, something in America or whatever, or what do they call it, trap or something. So, and some of the lyrics, and some of the artistry, I'm a little confused and bemused by. Let me put it like that. Confused and bemused by some of the things I hear. I can only be honest, and if we're not honest with ourselves, who can we be honest with? If you fail to connect with something because it doesn't touch your soul, then it's not for you. So I'll justify and qualify what I just said by saying it's clearly not meant for me. Maybe it's an age thing. Maybe because I like ska and my dad didn't, it's an age thing. Maybe because I like the Beatles and my dad didn't, he liked Frank Sinatra, it's an age thing. What we have to remember, and I think this is really, really important, is that young people in Jamaica, the world over, are not making music for their dads, their grandmothers, or their aunties. They're making music for themselves, and we as elders must always respect that, and I do. You asked me what I thought of it. I think some of it is vacuous. I think some of it is inadequately produced, lyrically questionable in terms of message and content. But if they are choosing, and we must remember free speech is so important. If they are choosing to say the things they are saying, and if they are, in sometimes, some of it is so explicit you have to wince at what's being said, but nevertheless, they are making music for their peer group, for their world, and they have every right to do that, and we have no right to shut them down or lock them down, because there lies fascism, and we all know what fascism leads to. So dictatorial tin pot dictators telling us what to think and do. So we have to be mindful in offering a comment, to be mindful that in the same breath we must say, this is what they believe works for them, and if they're dancing in the streets of Kingston to it, then so be it, because that's the way of the world, Sammy. It moves on, it rolls on, and it is forever changing.
That's true. Okay, my next question is going to be the hardest question, I believe, as a selector. Okay. What is your favorite dub plate special in your box?
My favorite dub plate special in my box? That is a very, very hard question, because of course I have a brace of songs that are very, very special to me.
Okay, today. The
one that immediately comes to mind, well, there are two. Prince Buster's Hard Man for Dead. I also did Ghost Dance, 2 dubs with him. And he was the first Jamaican superstar. Let's be quite clear about this. He was the first Jamaican superstar because he was recognized not only in England, but around the world as being the king of ska. So I would say him without doubt, because that was an incredible dub, and that has proved to be an absolute, atomic weapon in clashes when I've used it.
Like I've been damaged a lot of times with that dub play.
Pull the pin and lob it in.
That is like a big bomb. It'd be like a big explosion.
The other one that's really special to me is Phyllis Dillon and One Sound to Only One Life to Live, One Sound to Kill. Why? Because I fell in love with Phyllis Dillon. Her voice fascinated me. I was just spellbound by her voice when I first heard it in the 60s. I refer to her as the Queen of Rocksteady. And of course, she retired from the business, went to live in America, kind of when no one can find her. And I eventually found her through a colleague. She was working in a bank in Manhattan. We persuaded her to come and do a show in England. She came out of retirement. I finally got to meet Phyllis Dillon. And in later years, when she was back in the business, I asked her, and she said, I don't do those. I said, yeah, I know, but she said, but I'll do one for you. And she did it at HCS studio, Philip Smart studio, and he was phoning me, he said, yeah, it's really going well. She's never done this before, but you've written out all the lyrics, and you rebuilt the rhythm with Maffy and Fluxy. And Maffy and Fluxy rebuilt the rhythm for Prince Buster as well. They're great musicians. And so when I play that, because we all know that I Only Have One Life to Live is an anthem in Jamaica. Especially for women, and whenever it's played in a dance in America, especially in New York and in Jamaica, every woman knows that every word of that. I only have one life to live. And Phyllis Dillon was just an incredible woman, just such a magnificent voice. I mean, not a great bulk of work, but what work she did do before she retired was, I think, super, super special. So the other one would be, if I had a choice on a good day, it would be Moonlight Lover by Bob Andy and Marcia Griffiths, which was a Studio One record. I
think you played that in the tour, like when we did the tour in Japan, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question is, this year we have lost a lot of icons, from Bob Andy, Judas Iskender, Pat Anthony, Bobby Digital, and now, recently Toots, from Toots and the Maytals. I mean, you have met and, you're closer age compared to me. So you must have more memories. If you can share some historical moments with these artists, or even one of the artists, which is memorable one that, for you?
For me, Bob Andy was a very special person, not just as a singer and a songwriter, but as a humanitarian and as a philosopher. I learned a lot being in his company. And I think the Songbook album will forever stand as one of the greatest albums of all time. It wasn't recorded as an album, it was a collection of songs that he'd recorded at Studio One, and then Mr. Dodd put it out as an album, and it was appropriately entitled the Bob Andy Songbook. If you visit that album and listen to it, you will learn so much, and you will enjoy so much because of the melodies and this man's unique voice. He was super special, and his passing was tragic. As you know, he'd been ill a few years ago, and then in the beginning of this year, 2020, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. His work with Marcia was super, super special. They together hit the British pop charts in 1970 with Young, Gifted and Black, which was a beautiful interpretation of the Nina Simone song. And again, it became a pop hit. I I think it got to number 3 in the British pop charts, number 2. It was a pop smash. Everyone knew. They were on television. So, yeah, Bob Andy, and of course, more recently, Toots. And how sad is that? Because he had this song, Young at Heart, which he was, and he's just recorded this magnificent new album. And, you know, COVID got him and he's gone. But his heritage is incredible. You know, he was there when ska was made. He made the first ska recordings with Cox and Dodd. And again, of paramount importance is his ability to perform. On stage, he was a human dynamo. You know, when he came out, this is something I'll never forget about him, and I saw him playing in several festivals where you've got literally thousands of people. And when he would come out, the band would start playing his music and he'd walk out. He didn't have to sing. For at least a minute or two, the applause was tumultuous. Just the fact that thousands and thousands of fans saw him, you know, I'm talking about London, Clapham Common, you know, these festivals in Lancashire, Goatherd, whichever, there he was. It's Toots. A remarkable individual, vocal technique, energy, soul, revivalist. So those would be 2 people that I would reflect upon this year whose work I've known. I think Broadway Jungle is one of the greatest ska records ever made. I heard it in the summer of '67 and I just couldn't believe how good it was.
Wow. A lot of people don't know that Rodigan was an actor before being a selector. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
I think in several, like not several, but in song clashes in general, do you think like being an actor has helped you killing a lot of sounds?
I think it probably has. Just turn this phone off because I'm expecting a call. I don't want to disrupt what we're doing. I think being an actor has helped me, yeah, to killing sounds. Why? Because I use costumes, I use dramatic situations, I use speeches, and I use comedy to kill. Because comedy is so very important in our lives. If we cannot laugh, Sammy, we're in trouble. Laughter is a cure for so many ailments. Somebody once said, laugh, for it is good medicine.
The biggest entertainment.
It really is. So yes, I use situations dramatically, and my training as an actor enables me to do that, to become a character, you know, an Indian Sikh taxi driver. Clash against Jaro in New York in '97, where I come on with a turban. Another time in Brooklyn, I was clashing some sounds, and I came dressed as a jockey with all the jockey collars on, you know, and I played long shot kick the bucket on dub, and no one in the dance knew it because it hadn't been a hit in America or Jamaica. It was only a hit in England.
Okay.
I died a death, you know, the old the trap door opened and down I went. Bodyguard won the.
I have another question. How do you escape from, like, you know, you kind of flopping at the dance? Like, I have that experience. But do you think comedy has helped you a lot? Like when you're...
The secret is don't take yourself too seriously. But the stage is the loneliest place in the world when you're dying on stage. If you can, against all odds, and I've been in this situation, and it is a nauseating experience. You almost want to be sick, where you realize you're slip sliding down and you just cannot even see the peak anymore. And these sound guys are at the top laughing at you, you know, you know, you're like, no, come on. And you, no, please. Oh, you're dead. And yet, at the very point where you are going to drop into the cavity and you're finished, something happens. And we don't know what it is, but something happens, and all selectors listening to this and watching this will know that somehow from somewhere something happens, like a Hollywood movie, and you just grab that straw and you start to drag yourself up because you just find a tune when it looks that all is lost, and that tune just creaks the door open and the crowd don't boo you or they don't tell you to get off, and you just begin to crawl back, and then something happens. And I've been in this situation where suddenly you're on a roll and this stuff comes into your head of what to say, which tune to play. When you was 10 minutes ago, you're thinking, I haven't got any tunes. I can't think of anything to say. I'm dead in the water. Suddenly, you've got lots to say. Suddenly, you've got tunes to select that you'd forgotten about because you've got so many tunes. And then suddenly, pop, 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 pop. You get this rush of confidence. You get a vibe. And next thing, bam, 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 you're winning. Believe it or not. In a situation where I have a passion, it's different. And sometimes I think, and you would identify with this yourself, and so would your brother, so with the Mighty Crown team, is that when you go out there, something happens on that stage and a transition takes place.
It does.
And you say things and you think, where did that come from? You don't know.
Like sometimes looking back at my own whatever the clash, and I'm like, what did I say that? Like,
yes, you did. Yeah. Yeah, you said it, but you don't know how or why you said it. That's called inspiration, and that is a form of artistic expression.
Yeah,
and that's why.
I guess experience does that too. Help you a lot with it too, huh?
Experience, but humor is a key. And the thing that humor does is that it throws your competitor off guard, because a lot of sound clashes originally were quite aggressive. Some unpleasant things were said. And I think it'd be fair to say that I was probably one of the first people to introduce a large dollop of humor into what I did, because I realized I'm not Jamaican, I'm not a black guy, I'm not a sound system, I don't own a sound system, I built one speaker, and I had it in my room when I was a student, but I'm doing this because I've been invited to do it. I didn't push my way in here, I wasn't kicking the door in, I was invited. I wouldn't have been invited if I wasn't capable, and if I wasn't there and able to entertain. And that's what we must never forget, that we're on the stage, but we're also there to entertain. We have a duty to entertain the audience, because they paid their hard-earned cash to come out and be entertained. And it's not just about playing the music, it's about what you have to say about the music, about the way you conduct yourself on stage. And I felt that humor was a way to A, make the audience laugh, and also to embarrass selectors.
Yeah. You see what we were just talking about, right? Like about something happens, like in the dance, like when you're stuck. But there was one time that nothing came for me. There was no way out. That was the time. That's the only time that I experienced that, actually. And that was the time after I winning World Clash 99. I still remember in Connecticut when he played that Wycliffe up, there was no more way of me coming back. I was just out. Anything I played is just not, people wasn't accepting it. They was like, you're done for the day.
I have to say, that was one of my all-time favorite clashes, not because I'm talking to you on your YouTube channel, but simply because it was. And I went to a lot of trouble to make that clash special, especially including a Japanese lady singing a dub plate. It's all because of you. Mighty Crown, you're sad and blue. Rodigan will kill your sound tonight. And then I played it. And then I said, in case you don't understand it, Sammy, here's the Japanese version. And I got her to sing it in Japanese. Do you remember? And the look on your face and your brother's face it was forever. I was spellbound by it, because you just couldn't believe I had the rhythm rebuilt by Mafia and Fox. I wrote the lyrics of the old Japanese pop hit, and the whole world knows. And I got it as a reggae dubplate. The lady worked in a bank. She's Japanese. She was a banker, worked in the city of London, and she was a violinist. But she classically trained. Somehow, some way, I found her through a connection of a connection. And I phoned her up and I persuaded her. Who are you? And she didn't understand what it was about or who you were or who I was. A classically trained lady who worked in a bank, in the high end of banking in the city of London. And do you know what? You see, there's humour. That's how you use humour. And obviously I didn't know. And I swear to God, I didn't know Wyclef had done that dub. No. I didn't know. And what happened was, I saw Beast, his bodyguard.
Yeah, Beast, yeah.
I was like, and he went, come here. I went in the corner and he said, you know what the #1 record is in America? And I said, no.
You didn't even know this song?
No, I didn't know. No, I didn't know it. Because I was living in England. I'd come to America the day before, 2 days before, whatever it was. I didn't know it was the #1 record on the Billboard chart.
#1.
Yeah, and he said, you know what the #1 record is? And I said, I don't. He said, it's Maria, G&B the Product, and me and Carlos Santana. I said, oh my God, yeah, wow, that's incredible. Wow, Wyclef. And he said, yeah, here's the dub plate to win the clash. Play the second track on the plate. I went out and played it. The forward came from the back of that massive hall. It was like a tidal wave.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like that was like a nightmare for me. I ain't gonna lie. but then Wyclef probably felt like unfair in a sense, because he gave you the dub plate, but I didn't get nothing from him, right? And then he was a fan of sound.
And he cut up you. Yeah.
So he came up to me like after the clash. He'd be like, after he just like brought you the dub plate and killed me, like destroyed Mighty Crown, like, you know, he's like, yeah, I'm a big fan of you, and you know, I'm kind of pissed off. Yeah, so that was really, it was crazy when Wyclef stepped up to me like, yeah, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, the man give away the dub plate for Roddy. I'm not give me nothing.
Because he did cut it back for you.
Yeah, he did. But like, you know, I didn't know the relationship where you had with him.
Yeah, I knew.
And I was very young at that time. I just bust from, you know, 99 World Clash, and it was my first clash actually after, I think, World Clashes, you know, so. Okay, Roddy, so my last question, right?
Sure.
You've done radio, you have a lot of World Clash titles. Now you have Order of Distinction, you have the MB, traveled all over the world. You wrote your own reggae book. What's next for you?
What's next for me, Sammy, is to keep enjoying the music, keep enjoying the opportunity to entertain people with the music as a broadcaster on the BBC with my weekly show, and whenever we are able to go back to playing in public places, to continue to do just that, entertain people. We all need a hobby in life. Without a hobby, life would be very boring. My hobby is playing reggae music in all its forms. And as long as I'm in the privileged position of being able to do that to like-minded souls and fans, I will continue to do so. That would be it. And when I stop playing in public, I'll still be playing in my study here at home.
Thank you, David Rodigan. Yes, it was so today we had Roddy. You know, thanks for like educational talk. You know, I really enjoy always talking to you. Thank you, people. You can follow David Rodigan on Instagram. IG is, I think it's David Rodigan.
David Ramjam Rodigan.
David Ramjam Rodigan on IG. Do you do Facebook?
Yeah, we do Facebook too. Yeah, and on Twitter.
Okay, so all David Ramjam Rodigan.
Yeah, well, Twitter is David Rodigan, but Facebook and Instagram is David Ramjam Rodigan. I think it is on Facebook as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sammy.
Thank you very much. Respect, Mad.